Okay, we're recording and we're going to get started. I'll start off with introducing myself. My name is Jessica Hercules, and I'm the ESLC's Community Engagement Director. That means that I'm kind of the first welcome from volunteers, and I'll tell you a little bit more about beyond volunteers of what I do and what the ESLC does. But I want to start by doing some introductions. And I'm going to ask you to answer these questions. We're a pretty small group, so I think we've got time to introduce ourselves. And I think because Lisa, you are closest to me on my screen, I'm going to ask you to start. And then I'll invite you to ask another person that's in your view to follow you.
Okay, that's what I get for being late, huh? So my name's Lisa Simpson, just like Bart's sister. Yes, indeed. And I've always been interested in teaching English as a second language. I guess I don't really know why, except for that I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't. I took a different career path, and also because I have a lot of compassion for migrants and immigrants, people who, especially after Trump was in office, my compassion became stronger. So I kind of combined those two things. What do you? I guess I just want to get a better feeling for the position. I mean, I read everything on your website, but I'm still feel kind of uncommitted. And I just wanted to see if I could get a better feeling of how it works. Oh, I don't know anyone's name. Sorry. Oh,
Okay, you might be
sorry.
able to
Hold
hover
on.
and see the names on the
Okay,
screen.
I got it. How about Celeste?
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Celeste, and I graduated from BYU with a master's in English, and I had studied copy editing and grammar and usage and things like that before doing that. And so, and I've also volunteered. I've done internships with like the International Rescue Committee in Phoenix, Arizona, actually, not the one in Salt Lake, but anyway, so I just became interested in being able to combine those two things, maybe, and finding a way to use my understanding of English and the grammar and usage and things like that, and be able to put that to good use and combine that with my interest in, like you said, helping like refugees or immigrants or whoever might benefit from English. I love foreign language too. I work for BYU Center for Language Studies. And so I've just I don't know, I've always wanted to learn a foreign. I took like 2 years of French a long time ago, but I've always wanted to learn more languages, and I just think language is really interesting and fascinating. So anyway, yeah. And so what am I hoping to learn? Yeah, I think kind of just same thing. I just want to learn more. I just want to find out more about what it's like to volunteer. So yeah. So now I pick how about Kim?
All right, I'm Kim. And as far as why I want to volunteer here, is I have homeschooled my kids for a dozen years, and I'm to the point in my homeschooling career where they're not always with me, and it's kind of like, what am I going to do with my time now that I don't have my kids with me every single day teaching them? But one of the things that I loved about homeschooling them was teaching them to read. I love watching that skill click in the minds of others and seeing the joy that comes on their faces when they actually understand how languages come together into words that they can write down on a paper and then understand. And I just wanted to be a part of that. And then just to be able to help those who are in need and combine those two passions of mine into one thing is just really exciting to me. And that's what drew me to this program. And tonight, I'm just hoping to learn kind of the scope of everything that you guys do, because this seems like a very well researched and put together organization, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's see, who haven't we done yet? Christine?
Hi, everyone. My name's Christine. So I was a former ESL student when I was much younger. So obviously had a very huge, significant, and positive impact on my education. And now I would just like to give back. Just to echo what everyone else is saying, just to hope to learn more about what this program is and what kind of tasks and activities that volunteers would be doing. And I think Sky is the last one.
Thank you. Yes. My name's Sky Sieber, and I've actually volunteered as an English teacher for many different organizations around Utah. I've started with IRC actually many years ago, where we were kind of doing one-on-one tutoring with the client in their home. And then I transitioned over to the Guadalupe School. I did have a paid position at American English Schools. But I didn't enjoy that because it was like all about grading and testing and quizzes and homework and it's school, right? But I mean, that's a paid, people are paying for their English education. But I didn't think that was really for me. And then I started doing online teaching through Intercambio, which is based out of Boulder, Colorado. But I kind of miss the in-person interaction. So specifically, why I've chosen ESLC is because you guys are in the neighborhood. I live in Mill Creek, and I thought maybe it might be a little bit more convenient to have in-person interaction, working with First Americans or just people that want to improve their English. So that's it. And I think we've gone through everybody. So
Yeah,
back to you,
so.
Jessica.
Yeah, back to me. Thank you, Sky. I love Intercambio. I've met some folks from there, and I love the model that they have set up. So that's really cool. And also, just as a side note, and this is for everyone, we have some open paid positions, so check those out if that's something that is of interest to you too. Okay, and I did tell you my name and what I do with ESLC, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who I am. I, similar to you, Sky, was teaching adult English classes, but it was in like a private school for adults who were looking to kind of change into university setting, and that just was not as, didn't feel as fulfilling as some of the volunteer work that I had done prior to that. And I wanted to be involved with newcomers, and we'll talk about different terms that we use for newcomers. We can say newcomers, immigrants, refugees, new Americans. There's lots of different ways to refer to newcomers in our community, but most often I will use newcomers or new Americans. But so I've been with the ESLC now for 10 years and have been teaching adult education for 15. I have a master's degree in second language teaching. And so I also studied linguistics. So I think it was Celeste. I tried to take some notes. Celeste, like you, I'm interested in languages and things like that. And so anyway, a couple things as we jump into the content for this evening. Unmute yourselves at any time. Put something in the chat at any time. We're a pretty small group, and so I hope this feels a little bit more like a conversation than me just talking for the whole time. So let's jump right in. This is something that we do as ESLC to start off every meeting, and we do this for virtual meetings or for our in-person meetings. But do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If that means that you need to turn your screen off for a minute and do something, I might have my kids here with me alone for a small portion of this orientation, we'll see. But do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Also, non-participation is always an option. So if you feel like you don't want to answer a question, or if you feel like you don't want to chime in, don't feel obligated to do so, but we're always happy to hear from everyone that's in the meeting. Ask questions as they arise, because I don't want you to think of a question and then be like, oh, I'll save it for later, and then forget. And that's the worst feeling ever. And then you're like, 3 days from now, you're like, I remember my question. So please ask your questions as they pop up. And then lastly, and this is kind of bolded and larger, we value a productive struggle in our organization. So that means that if I say something that doesn't really maybe resonate with you or your lived experience, we want to talk about it. And it's okay for us to either disagree or to try to come to a better understanding together of what we mean. But the hope is that we can do that in real time and be comfortable with learning something new or thinking of something in a different way. And that's true for you all on the call and me and for me too. So let's jump into it. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. Talk about who we are as an organization and the programs that we have, students participating in our programs, as well as some volunteer information. And I hope that the question that you have answered by the end of the night is this the right volunteer opportunity for you? So we go by English Skills Learning Center, or sometimes ESL Center or ESLC. So just a little bit of lingo here for you. The ESL Center is maybe our least favorite of the three, and I want to ask you if you could guess why.
Is it because ESL can also mean English as a second language, and it could be a little too many acronyms or too many abbreviations? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, you're onto it, Celeste. And I also want to add and then ask another question. Why might ESL not be a great term for people participating in our classes? ESL meaning English as a second language, usually.
I'll just say, in my experience, English is like a third or a fourth language for many people. So, yeah, to assume that it's just their second language, well, that's an assumption. So, the people that we work with speak many different languages, and English just being one of them. So, it's English as a foreign language is this term that I'm used to using.
Yeah, so English as a foreign language would be like if we're teaching in a foreign context. For example, if I go to Korea and I'm teaching in Korea, I would be an English as a foreign language teacher. But the term that we will usually use is English language learner rather than ESL student or English language learning, because just like you said, Sky, a lot of participants in our programs are maybe English is their seventh language, so we don't, second language doesn't fully encapsulate. You might hear some people say multilingual learners as well, and that works too. But we really are specifically just teaching English in our classes, so we usually go with English language learning and English language learners and English language teaching. Okay, the ESLC's mission is to integrate and strengthen communities by breaking language and cultural barriers. And we have this vision that if we completed everything that we set out to, that we would find a community where all voices are celebrated. And that's really what we're striving toward, is that kind of community. And we are working toward that on these frameworks. These are kind of our core frameworks as an organization. And if you haven't had a chance to read our teaching philosophy statement on the website, I hope you'll do that, because it really details in really fine points what we believe in our teaching. And it's I say that it's a personal document, even though it's an organizational document, because it changes and shifts as we learn new things. And it was written by all of our staff members' input put together. So it really is a personal document that I think does a great job of reflecting what we value as an organization. And again, that's available on our website. But the basics are, we value two-way mutual integration, which means that the welcoming and incoming community members all participate in the integration process. So when newcomers come into our community, it's fundamentally changed, and it shouldn't just be on the onus of the newcomers to, get a driver license or learn the language, all those things that we might think of in the typical integration model. We really view it as a process that involves everyone. And you all are participating in that by coming to an orientation session, by learning about how you can make ours a more welcoming community. We really value trauma-informed practices, so we research a lot and do presentations a lot about what the ways that trauma can affect learning, and we take those into consideration in our teaching and try to do a good job of using that information to inform our teaching so that we can better support everyone in our class. And then something that is kind of unique to the ESLC, we really focus on content-based instruction, and that means that everything that we teach is tied to something meaningful and relevant in the students' learning goals. So we don't have a traditional grammar class, for example, but we may have a conversation class where we talk about some features of grammar. in class, but it is all based in everyday kind of settings. So I'll give some examples of that later, but the goal is that all of the content of our classes is immediately relevant to the lives of the students in our classes. And I want to talk about some of the services that we offer in the community, both for established community members and for English language learners. One is workshops and an annual conference that we offer as an organization, and our workshops and conference are open to everyone in the community, not just to ESLC volunteers or staff members. Of course, we have volunteer opportunities, but we also hold other events, like we have one coming up on September 20th. It's a celebration of community. It's our picnic in the park. It's my favorite event of the year because it really truly is just like a picnic in the park where everybody comes and brings their family, and kids get their faces painted, and we get to meet each other's families and just enjoy being together. We also have a speakeasy book club. It's a place where you can come read a book and meet. This is a virtual meeting, and talk about books that are relevant to immigrant refugee experiences, new American experiences, and talk about it in a place where we can speak freely about those things. As I mentioned previously about productive struggle, that's important in our book club too. And then for adult English language learners, of course, we have classes that encompass foundational literacy, civics, family literacy, and then workforce development. And I'll get into some more details about that. Before I bump into this, though, I want to pause and give you a chance to ask any questions that you might have. Something that you'll learn is that we always wait like 10 seconds when we ask a question, and we'll ask you to do that too as teachers, because it takes people a little minute to get the strength up and courage up to actually ask a question. So it'll feel awkward at first, but you'll get used to me doing it because I'll do it every time. All right, let's talk about who's eligible to volunteer. The quick answer is everybody. Everyone is eligible to volunteer. The main ways that we can engage volunteers, though, are through these options. So you might become a lead teacher, and this is our biggest time commitment. That's 3 to 5 hours a week, 1 or 2 days a week. Most of our classes are 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the program. But the lead teacher position, we do have set curriculum that's ready to go, but lead teachers just need to prepare those lessons ahead of time and be ready to teach. So the 3 to 5 hours includes preparation time, travel time, and teaching time, whether it's 1 or 2 days a week. And I can give you some information about the locations where we have these available, but we'll save that for a little bit later. The second way that most folks volunteer with us is as a classroom support volunteer. And that is what it sounds like. So we may have a class where there's already a lead teacher, whether that be one of our paid teaching positions or volunteer teaching position. And the classroom support volunteer just assists that teacher in whatever way is needed. Sometimes that might look like group work. Sometimes that might look like one-on-one, or, taking one of the students out and doing some practice reading together. It can look like a lot of different things, but just providing support in a classroom. So it's a little bit of little less of a time commitment in that you're not having to prepare a full lesson as you're coming to class. If you can't make it to class, we don't necessarily need to find a substitute. So that's a good option if you feel like you want to commit to something, but maybe you can't do every single week. If you travel a lot or something like that, this might be a great option for you. And then this one is everybody can do is donations. So can offer support by supplying classroom needs that we might have. We have an Amazon wish list. You might make a monetary donation, or you can drop materials by our offices, or if you have professional skills that are related to our mission or in kind of a tangent to our mission, I'd love to talk about ways. So some examples are, we have a photographer who comes and does family photos at our picnic each year. And so students in our program, they might not have an up-to-date family photo. And so they get to take the photo at the park, thanks to a volunteer who's a photographer. Graphic design, all different kinds of things. So if that is something that is of interest to you, let me know. And I will put a plug in here that we are moving this week, and that's why I am presenting from my home, because my office is taken apart. And so we're very happy to receive any donations to help us toward our move, because it's expensive. Okay, so the traditional volunteer pathway looks like this. Fill out an application on our website, and that's at eslcenter.org. Attend a training, and this orientation is not necessarily part of that training. Our training is 3 full parts. It is not on our calendar yet because, as I mentioned, we're moving, and I don't want to put something on the calendar and then find out that our training room is not ready to go yet. So as soon as the training room is ready to go, then we'll book that training, and I'll let you all know about that. We ask volunteers to complete a background check through the Bureau of Criminal Identification. It takes about 15 minutes, and it costs $15. And all of our volunteers need to have a background check. We also ask you to observe a class, and that's just, I might work together with you and figure out what your greatest interests are and your general time availability, and then I'll suggest a few classes for you to attend. And then from that, if you attend one class or multiple classes, then you'll have a little better idea of what it feels like to be in that class, and then from there we'll determine a match. So if one of the classes you observed that feels like the right class, then we'll match you to it. And if you're lead teaching, you'll team teach with one of our mentors. We don't ever just like hand you a manual and then say good luck to you. We provide lots of support along the way, and try to make sure that the process of you getting started is smooth. So any questions about volunteer opportunities or about this pathway before I jump to the next slide? I told you I'll always wait 10 seconds. So here's a cute picture of our staff this is some of our staff, it's not our full staff, at citizenship ceremony recently. But our staff members are the mentors. So, so this is me. As you can tell that's me. Pictures always look different in the dress. And to my right is one of our empowering parents coordinators and citizenship to her right. And then in the back is Robert, who is our outcomes director. Zach, Kim, you'll recognize Zach from the Humanitarian Center. And then another citizenship instructor to Zach's right, and then our executive directors to the right, on the far right. And if you think our t-shirts in this photo are snappy, just know that you can purchase one on our website. It's important information to know. I'll tell you a little bit about who is eligible to attend ESLC classes, and we really focus on kind of the foundational levels in our program. So we view ourselves as being kind of the professionals, the go-to, the best option for emergent readers. So that is including people who have 6 years or fewer of formal education. So participants in that program may be learning to read and write in any language for the first time, or they may have attended 1 or 2 years of school but had that process interrupted. So that's really our focus, is starting with the emergent readers, and then once students test up into kind of the high intermediate levels, we are looking to refer them to another program. We do, if you are a language learning kind of nerdy person, we have a tool on our website that details what those levels look like in terms of like functional skills. So that's in our resources page. You can go to the NRS levels, and that's the National Reporting System levels, and see when we say that someone is a level 4, what does that mean for functional reading skills or for functional speaking skills? And you can check that out. I'm going to skip this referral process because basically you can tell people, come to our office, but I would not encourage you to do that right now because our office is a mess and our classes are full until October. But these are some of the things that we take into consideration when we are referring someone into class. Our biggest question is, what does their prior formal education look like? What is their literacy and speaking levels? We also ask newcomers to our classes what their household income is, because we only serve low income individuals. So if someone from the Utah Jazz wants to learn English, they will not be attending our classes, for example. But we also try to keep in mind the goals and interests of the participant. If they have kids at home and they want to learn more about supporting their kids in school, we have a program that would be a better choice for that than maybe our workforce classes. So we make sure that we're trying to find the right class for people. And then lastly, we try to figure out by location. So our organization functions a little bit differently than your typical English school in that our classes are all around Salt Lake County. We don't have just one school where people come. We're in apartment community centers, libraries, recreation centers, workplaces. So our office is just administrative. We might have 1 or 2 classes going on at a time, but all of our classes, which we have about 36 going on, they're out in the community in different locations. What questions do you have before I bump to the next part? Okay. I'm going to get into the details of the programs that we offer. This is kind of the pathway that we see, and I say pathway, it's not really a pathway because there's no such thing as like someone only has one goal or one interest, right? And we're all starting at different points in this pathway. So that's why this pathway looks kind of like a mess. But we do have classes for adult emergent readers, and that's what I mentioned, that 6 years or fewer of formal education. Then we have our foundations or life skills classes. And we have a program called Empowering Parents and a citizenship programs. So we also have Workplace English, and that's happening in 2 different sites. And those are happening in workplaces. So folks are employed at the place where we're holding our classes. And depending on the workplace, that may be part of their paid workday, or it may be offered at their work site as an additional bonus for them, but it's not part of their paid workday. Just depends. Okay, so a lot of me talking. We're going to shift and play a little game, and this will involve you unmuting yourselves if you're willing. I'm going to read a description of one of our programs, and I want you to unmute and say which of these programs you think it is. And yes, Celeste, I can send you the recording, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to read a description of one of our programs, and I want you to shout out which one it sounds like. Okay. This program focuses on English for new learners and those who are learning to read and write in any language for the first time.
Adult emergent.
You got it, adult emergent readers. The next one is this program provides immigrant and refugee parents and caretakers the tools to be involved in their children's education, from understanding a report card to reading at home with children.
Empowering Parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'll get into more details about each of these programs in the next couple slides. Okay, next one I'll tell you about. This program offers classes to help people learn everyday English. So this might be from visiting the doctor to navigating public transportation.
Foundations Life Skills.
Yep. Okay, and we'll do one more. This program, I hope you get this one. Prepares individuals with civics and English knowledge needed to pass the naturalization exam in the United States.
Citizenship.
We got it. Good job, team. Yeah, so let me get into some of the details of these classes, and we'll start with life skills and some of the sites where we are. We've got classes in South Salt Lake, West Valley, Sandy Midvale border. But some of the topics for this class would be health, community places, everyday activities, talking about emotions. So these are all functional and, as I mentioned, content-based English. So this would be what you would think of as the more traditional English class, but it's really tailored around these topics that we hope are relevant to everyday life for people in the class. Empowering Parents is a program that's unique to the ESLC. And as I mentioned, this is helping parents and caretakers of kids be able to navigate the U.S. school system. This program was built because there was a parent in the community who said she felt like she was kind of drowning and trying to figure out how to support her kids. She wanted to participate in the PTA, but she didn't know how. She wanted to support her kids at home in their schooling, and she felt like she didn't have the tools to do that. And so she advocated for herself, and from that, her voicing that, this Empowering Parents program was born. And it's something that I'm really proud of for the ESLC. That's pretty unique to us. We have a large contract with Granite School District to provide classes in the following locations. And then we do have one site in Salt Lake School District at the Glendale Community Learning Center. We have lots of open slots in this program. So if this is something that kind of jumps out to you as being of interest, let me know. Almost all of these are in the morning, either 9 to 10:30 or 9:30 to 11. And then the Glendale class is really early, 8:30 to 10 a.m. Citizenship program, we do not currently have any slots open for volunteers in the citizenship program, but we do hold them in the following locations. We usually help about 60 people per year pass the naturalization interview and become U.S. citizens. And we just signed a contract in the last several months with the governor's office to provide more classes to rural communities through online learning. So we're excited to be able to reach more folks in the state beyond Salt Lake County to be able to participate in this process. Our adult emergent reader classes, we do have some spots open here for volunteers, and we have morning and evening opportunities, but really focusing on foundational literacy skills, foundational phonics skills, basic letter formation, and then we also incorporate basic speaking and listening skills using the same topics that I mentioned in the life skills classes. Some more unique programming to the ESLC is our Deseret Industries English program, and you'll see this is really similar to another one of our programs. But folks in this program are employed full-time at either Murray DI or Sugar House DI, and they're learning English. They work Monday through Saturday, depending on their schedule, but classes are only Monday through Thursday, and they're in English 15 hours a week. So everyone that's enrolled in the program is getting 15 hours a week of instruction. And then they're working the other 25 hours a week. Yeah. And the Latter-day Saint Humanitarian Center, sometimes we shorten this to the HC, Humanitarian Center, is really similar to the DI program, and this was actually the model for the DI programs. It was based off of this program. In this program, it's a Monday through Friday schedule. People are employed full-time, 40 hours a week, and they're getting 20 hours of English class and 20 hours of work in this program, so it's a little bit shifted. The Deseret Industries programs both focus on foundational literacy. The Humanitarian Center has emergent readers in the program, all the way up to those who have professional degrees in other countries but are seeking some additional support in their language learning. Okay, So last thing I want to talk about, the opportunities that are available. Sorry, my blank screen. We have lots of them. So, and I'm not even going to list all of them, and we're growing. So what I will say is that our greatest need is in the mornings, Monday through Friday. If you're available in the morning, the choice is yours of which program you'd like to participate in. And we will also have some evening classes opening up soon as well, most likely in our new office. But if you have specific questions about that, I'm glad to stay on after this call and talk about those options with you. And I can send a list out of those specific addresses and times and things like that if you're interested. And I realized this is not the style of the ESLC at all. We usually have really engaging and back and forth presentations. But since we're virtual, this is what we're doing. So I hope to meet you at one of our volunteer trainings where you get to see the hands-on exciting activities that we have and go into depth in a lot of these important topics to prepare you to feel comfortable in one of our classes. So anyway, thank you for taking time to listen to me talk this evening, and I'll stay on to answer questions that you have. And if you want to jump off, that's fine. You can send me an email separately too if you have questions. So anyway, thank you all, and I hope to see you in one of our trainings in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, when do you expect to have the trainings up and running again?
Yeah, my hope is we're moving on Thursday. So my hope is that by
Okay.
Thursday we can kind of see, like, do we have our internet up and running? Do we have, all those things? And then as soon as I know, my goal is to start scheduling for the end of September, just as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll probably
too.
have a daytime option and an evening option to try to accommodate different schedules.
Okay, cool. And where are you guys moving to?
We're moving to West Valley, so we'll be at like 1270 West and around 2200 South. We'll be pretty close to, it's more central to all of our locations. Right now we're in Mill Creek and we're just pretty far east of everything and pretty far south. So we're moving to be a little more central to everybody.
Is that where the trainings take place?
That will be it. Yeah. So we have been doing our trainings in Mill Creek. And sorry, Sky, that's where you live, but we're bumping away from that. But we are, we are holding the trainings in person at our West Valley address, which I can send to you if you are ready to move forward with us. So.
I did have one question about the life skills classes that you offer. I saw there were some morning locations. I didn't catch where the evening locations are.
Yeah, so evening locations, we have one location where there are several classes going on in South Salt Lake, around 2500 South and 5th East. So in terms of for Mill Creek, it's super close. Then we do have classes in Glendale as well.
Okay.
And then right now we don't have any in evening classes in the south part of the county. Yeah, any other questions? Okay, well, thanks all for taking time. I appreciate you. And again, if you have other specific questions, just send me an email. And hope you'll let your friends know too about the opportunity to volunteer with us. And have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jessica.